First, I would like to apologize for the name of my talk. I just wanted to make it shorter, so I used the European Fireball Network, but in my talk I will speak only about the video cameras that we use for observation of fireballs in the Czech part of the European Fireball Network. So this will be about the experiences of the cameras we use in the Czech Republic. The decades before we decided to use also the video cameras, our instrument for observation of fireballs were only photographic cameras. First, they were film cameras, and now they are digital. We use well-known digital autonomous fireball observatory, which has two Canon 6D DSLR cameras and fisheye lens. We observe only during the night and twilight periods with these cameras. But unfortunately, for example, fragments of fireballs or another parts behind the fireballs are merged because of a long exposure, which is visible over here on the image of this fireball, where there were tens of fragments, but they were not visible. And this was also the motivation for using a supplementary instrument, which is a video camera. We don't have lots of money, so we have to choose something cheap. So we decided for IP cameras. First to cover also the twilight periods and to observe during the whole day, then to record fragments of the fireballs, and the basic reason was to to produce more accurate velocity for distant fireballs that are very small and have a very small angular velocity on our all-sky photographic images. So we decided to test two different cameras that were available and quite cheap. So these two cameras are from two different manufacturers. The one is AirLife camera, the second one is Dahua camera. There are some details of this camera. They both uses CMOS chip. The one is 3 megapixel. The second one is 4 megapixel. They are quite similar. So what were our requirements to use these cameras to refine the velocities? We want them to have a stable frame rate during recordings, then also as much as possible customized setting in the camera, so something like exposure, frame rate, infrared illuminator, which has to be turned off during the observation. And then also we want to have a control on the image adjustments or enhancements, which is inside the camera. And lots of cameras have these features. We also have to be able to do astrometry of stars to reduce the recordings. And also it has to be possible to measure the fireballs, of course. So it means that the camera don't have to be much sensitive, because then the fireballs would be overexposed and almost unmeasurable. And also it has to be possible to put an accurate time in the camera. So after our tests, we decided for the Dahua camera, or there was an example of the camera or of unstable frame rate of the AirLife camera. So we decided to use Dahua cameras that provide stable frame rate for measurement of the velocity. But still, there also were a couple of small problems that could be solved. For example, the ER light cannot be switched off in the setting of the camera. We have to do it manually, just by cutting off the wire. Then the time accuracy inside the camera when the recordings was recorded on the network video recorder has an accuracy of approximately 2 seconds only, but it's okay for the accuracy of determination of the atmospheric trajectory. Then there were some problems with firmwares, but the update of the firmware solved this problem. So just minor problems. So we start to operate these cameras, and during the years we gradually put into operation more of these cameras. The first model we used, 44-1. Was terminated and upgraded to a camera with 31 at the end of its name. It provided a higher frame rate, but unfortunately, the video compression of MJPEG was not supported more. So we have to ask Dahua to provide the firmware with MJPEG, and they provided us, fortunately. So we were able to use these cameras again. And then also this camera was terminated. I mean, we have to find another camera, another alternative. This one is our last model that we used for observation. And again, Dahua provided the firmware with MJPEG. So the actual coverage, let's say coverage of the sky in our network, the black dots are our photographic cameras or stations with our photographic cameras, and the red triangles are the field of view of our cameras that we use. We have 2 stations with all sky coverage, and altogether it's about 50 these cheap cameras. Now I would like to summarize our experiences, and please just take it like an advice for those who want to observe fireballs with video cameras or are observing, because our experience during measuring of hundreds and maybe thousands of fireballs, not only from our own records, but also from foreign countries, when there is some daytime fireball or another huge fireball not in our territory. So we have experience with a couple of problems that have to be solved, and it's quite easy to correct them before the observation. So this is just the list. So very quickly, there's need to have an accurate GPS position of the camera, of course, but sometimes there is not. You have to fix the camera mounting. The camera don't have to move. You should use only planar optical elements in front of the lenses of your cameras. Then, there have to be lots of calibration stars that are used for reduction of the fireball recordings, but the stars don't have to be older than a couple of weeks. Then all the in camera image adjustments have to be disabled during the recordings of the meteor or fireball. We also recommend to manually measure both stars and meteors if you want to have the most accurate results, or if you want to have the most accurate results. And of course, you have to correct the rolling shutter effects if you use cameras with rolling shutters. So now, very briefly, to every item, we have experience from recent times when we measured daytime fireballs that the GPS coordinates of the cameras that we have from the owners of the cameras, and which also they also provided us the GPS coordinates. That the coordinates are sometimes different from the real position, tens of meters, and sometimes even more than 100 meters, which can do the error in radiant, let's say, in the on the order of 1 degree or a couple of degrees, and error in the initial velocity of a couple of tenths of kilometers per second. So it's a problem, and during the calculation of the meteor, we can see this problem, and just with checking on the Google Maps, we can see that there are these errors in the GPS coordinates of the station. So it's easy to fix, and sometimes it provides a problem for those who calculate these fireballs. The second thing, the fixed mounting. Our cheap Dahua cameras have only one screw in their mounting to fix the camera in the proper position, and sometimes we saw that the camera was gradually falling down on the scale of a couple of days. So if there was a meteor in the field of view of this camera, and we want to measure it after a couple of days, and there are not lots of calibration stars in the record of the fireball, so it's not possible to use this record because you don't know the exact position at the time of the fireball. So we have to replace these mountings, and we also saw and try to measure records where the camera was shaking, probably because it was placed on some long or high bar or pillow or something like this. So even in the gentle wind, the camera is shaking, and these records cannot be used. Another things are that rounded optical elements or improperly placed housing in front of the lens. On the left side, there is one frame of the recording on the fireball where the camera was placed behind the rounded housing, and you can see lots of refractions and also deformation of the meteor itself, and it's hard to measure. But yeah, it's possible, but it's hard. Okay. And on the right side, you can see the astrometry of stars. It was just a test with one of our digital camera with all sky lens that we placed under the house fair dome. The left one is the image and the astrometry when the camera or the lens was placed in the center, and you can see that the accuracy is quite good, some 2/100ths of a degree on the all sky. And on the right side, it's the same camera, the same lens, just a couple of minutes after taking of the picture of the first one. And in this case, the camera was placed on the edge of the housing, and the difference is visible. There are lots of errors of the stars, and it's only because of the dome and improper placing. So this also is a problem. The calibration stars, we found out that if we used calibration stars older than let's say 2 or 3 weeks, then it doesn't fit into the trajectory that we have from our photographic camera. So probably the mounting also changes due to weather or temperature changes on the scale of weeks. So we have to use only, let's say, fresh stars. But there also are examples when we were not able to, to have correct or use correct stars. This is an example of a daytime fireball during the summer. We used different stars the night before and the night after the fireball, but still this camera is approximately 350 meters of the solution of the atmospheric trajectory, which is from 5 different stations. So it should be a good solution. We think it's because of this camera was placed in the top of a dome or cover of the cameras. It's a all-sky 7 camera, the zenithal one. So probably it was because of a temperature change during the summer day. I don't know, but we cannot use this camera for the solution, for the final solution. The image adjustments inside the camera. Usually the cameras use, or the Dahua camera use something like which is called 3D noise reduction tool. We always turn it off. The image looks better if it's on, but here you can see examples from different cameras. These are recordings of a daytime fireball. It's only one frame, and it looks like there are, I don't know, fragments or something, but we know from different cameras, from our cameras, that it was just one body meteor at this time. So it's just this one. And this noise reduction uses, we think, a couple of images to reduce the noise. And this is the result. So if the fireball has a wake or there are fragments, so you are not able to measure them. This is again the example of the same fireball at the end of its atmospheric trajectory when there were 3 fragments visible, and still it's not possible to measure these fragments. So the second thing is a manual measurement of this. To my knowledge, there is no automatic pipeline or procedure to measure these fireballs, because I've measured hundreds or thousands of images of fireballs, and every fireball is different. Yeah. You can use the automatic measurement just for statistics if you have thousands of fireballs or something like that. But if you want to have reliable results, you have to measure everything manually. We use automatical measurements of stars for our photographic cameras, but still we have to take care for the stars that are close to horizon. And the last thing is correction for the rolling shutter, which is quite easy to do. So okay. So that's it. Just take it like an advice. Thank you.